thank you for coming. Welcome to our Creative Mornings. You made it today to Basel chapter.
Can you hear?
Louder.
Louder.
Okay.
Oh yeah, over the music.
Okay, I will try.
Music.
So I would like to give you a warm welcome to our Creative Mornings in August. We have a subject, Nomad, and this theme was chosen by Ulaanbaatar chapter in Mongolia and illustrated by Oyuna Bolt. And with that theme, we are all about the movements. Life is a movement, so we would like to step in with a new energy in the second half of the year. But first, we would like to say thank you to our Adobe sponsor.
Oh yeah, we're we're very happy that Adobe is our global sponsor, and yes, it's a brilliant collaboration and partnership, because obviously Adobe support are very much about supporting creativity, whether you're using it every day or just once in a while. So we're really happy to have this partnership with Adobe.
And right now, in the cooperation with CreativeMornings, Adobe offers many different resources, especially when you're starting career in creative industry. They are really helpful. Many tutorials, many support. There's also apprenticeship offer. I don't know if it's also in Europe or in the US. Please check on our website. And so this is also can be found on Behance. And this is in cooperation with Creative Mornings, and we always recommend if someone would like to get more information about others. So, up next we have two 30-second speeches.
Wonderful, thank you.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Adelina. I'm designer, artist, and content creator for Creative Mornings as well. Previously, I had an experience in interiors, and after what I decided to broaden my horizons and delve into scenography and exhibition and installation design. So currently, I'm studying for my last semester in Master Studio Scenography Design here in Havika. And starting from February, I would be open for work prospects and collaborative projects, and I would be glad for your recommendations and personal orders as well. You can contact me via email or connect with me in Instagram. I would be happy also to communicate with you further. Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right.
We need to change.
So good morning, I'm Marianne Hartley. When is the last time you took time out just for yourself to be out in nature?
Yesterday.
Amazing, fantastic. Research shows that spending time in nature is really good for our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. So, if you would like to have a nature immersion accompanied by someone, you may be going through taking a big decision or just needing time out from your work, then I would love to accompany you on a nature immersion. You can email me, actually that's my website, but you can email me as well, or come and speak to me afterwards. Thank you.
And today we are guests at Hotel Nomad, and we were welcomed here with open arms and open hearts, and I was amazed how professional welcome that was as well. I would like to welcome Thomas, the deputy director, who will tell a bit on hotel, introduce the hotel to you.
Good morning also from my side. Welcome, Nomad. Glad that we can host a great morning and today. And Nomad is designed like Melinda, our eatery, and here's also vibe, atmosphere, a really wide of the house. And we have 65 old, 2016, so almost 10 years old. And Nomad is one of 5 concepts from the craft Kumpe. It's founded in 2003 in Basel with library, all the projects, pub and sea walkers and cooking stuff. So I'm just glad that we are here and hope you can enjoy.
Thank you very much. We are very lucky to be here. And we have today we have also special breakfast partner, Remy's Bagels. Bagels made with naturally fermented sourdough. You will taste it; it's amazing. And Remy has a special promotion for us with the code Bagel 10% on the website. You get 10%, and if you go to the Bright Mart on Saturday from 9 till 1. And mention that you are a member of Creative Mornings, you will get the same discount. So I encourage you to go and try more. I'm going to do myself. So talking about the sponsors, so I mentioned Hotel Nomads, Remy's Bagels, and this father are our permanent sponsors. So Coffee Bee is responsible for our coffee. We have London Tea, Stelberg, Leilager are supportive institutions, and Bakery Foods is not today, but it's always there for us when we need breakfast. And below is our team. Artifact Photography is responsible for the video. Dirk Basel is responsible for photography. Carter Getso is here. Marianne and me, Ornamental Studio. We will introduce our team after this presentation, and today we have Fresh Air Kids and Revive, represented by Melinda, our speaker. And when I learned about that we have Nomads, I thought like straight away, I was traveling with my daughter, and it came to me like Melinda knows everything about moving and travel. And Melinda is an educator, writer, and co-author of the Fresh Air Kids series, and with her husband Robert. She is from US, California, and she moved, but she's a long time rooted here in Basel. And she teaches how to connect with nature and connect by traveling. And she also is co-founder of Reviven. It is the educational forum for environment and engagement, together with her husband as well. Please give a warm welcome to Melinda.
Thank you all for coming. If I end up talking too quietly throughout this, just somebody raise their hand and then I'll continue to speak louder. First of all, I want to say thank you to the Creative Morning team. They put in a lot of effort. They're here every morning when they have these events, so I greatly appreciate that. And thank you to everyone. And thank you all for coming early and spending this time with me. I know time is very important to all of us, so I deeply appreciate it. So I'm going to dive right in. Okay. So I was coming back on the train with my son and his friend, and we had just hiked to a hut when I read Issa's email. And it went something like this, I'm paraphrasing. It was, Melinda, we would like you to be our guest speaker for August for the Nomad theme. We find the work that you do at Fresh Air Kids inspiring, and we would like you to share it with our greater community. To which I thought internally, what a generous invitation, so thank you. And I have to say that my husband and I write these books together. Robert, please raise your hand. it wouldn't happen without Robert. We really work together as a true team and the collaboration. I also think for anyone in the creative space, you rarely create in isolation. And what I mean by that is even though writing is a solitary pursuit, there were so many hands that have touched our books throughout the years that we've been publishing. Our publisher, Helvetic, all of our graphic artists, everyone who stocks the shelves in the bookstore. So we always know that so many hands are involved in getting books on shelves, and we are privy to seeing that entire process, and we're remarkably grateful. But what I want to talk about briefly about Fresh Air Kids is that when we launched our first book, we went into this thinking it would be one book and we would be done, and quickly that morphed into 4. And when we finished publishing our last book, which I believe is just about a year old, it hit me that this is how we raised our children. And we raised them with a deep connection to the natural world. And we found that was probably the best parenting decision we've ever made. And for any parents in the audience, you know it's hard to get everything right. This is the one thing I feel really confident that we did right in our parenting journey. Our children went on every hike. Something we do is everything you read in our books, we physically did. We stayed in every hut in our hut book. We went on every winter excursion. We did every adventure, and our children came with us. And through that experience, they learned to appreciate the world in a very different way. They, as you can see here, they learned to appreciate creatures big and small. They watched the sunset with us. They watched the sunrise with us. And for us, not being from Switzerland, it allowed us to have a deep sense of rooting in a place that is not our own, but it allowed us to be very attached to. And this is our mission that we put together at Fresh Air Kids. And the mission is inspiring families and individuals to connect with nature, one outdoor experience at a time. And we believe we're in a time right now that somehow along the way we feel disconnected from the natural world, but we want to break down the barriers to that so people feel more connected. I'm just going to grab it then. Having all of that said, there's a different story I want to tell. But when I was on that train with my son and his friend, I thought conceptually I knew what a nomad was, but I had to turn to the definition. And the first definition to me felt really cumbersome. A member of the people who have no fixed residence but move from place to place, usually seasonally and within a well-defined territory. I don't know that many of us can identify with that right now, or particularly in this room. So I went to the second definition from Merriam-Webster, and it's an individual who roams about. And I think this is easier to identify with, but we're going to allow this to be our guiding definition for my talk. So today the story I want to tell you is a very human story. It's an experience to me that highlights what it means to be nomadic in a very unique way. And I think right now we're living in a time that calls on us to remember our common humanity. And I think the story highlights that beautifully. And I've been to enough creative mornings now to know that the stories that really resonate with me are those that reveal the power of the human spirit. So, yeah. Oh, a little louder? Okay, sure. This is the story of my dear friend Anne, and some of you in this room know Anne. I met Anne years ago at a clubhouse of sorts for expats living in Basel. Anne was well established in the community and had a lot of friends. I, on the other hand, was very new to Basel. I had no community. I was essentially lost. What I like to say is that I was floating in a sea of the unknown, and Anne floated by. And with that, I realized that Anne was someone who could connect with someone, with one person or 100. That was truly her gift. She was a people collector. She would walk into a room, and when she left, she would know people's names. She was a dear friend to everyone. She did not care about your age, your ethnicity, your race, your religion. She accepted you for who you were. And that was something I loved about Anne. She fit that second description perfectly. And I'll give you a few examples of how. If you were to ask Anne, do you want to go to the Galapagos Islands? She would say, absolutely. Anne, how about Africa? When do we leave? Someone asked Anne about taking van trips around Portland, and she said, absolutely. She bought the van to keep the adventures going. And one of her favorite things to do while she lived in Switzerland was hiking to huts. And if you asked Anne, would you like to do this? She would say, when do we leave? She was somebody who would roam anywhere. She was remarkably enthusiastic about life. And certainly took every opportunity that came her way. When I looked at the image this month, I thought to myself, if you were to say to Anne, how about we go ride camels in Mongolia? She would undoubtedly say, yes, we're leaving. The story that I'll tell you today, but I'd like to backtrack. One day I got a call from Anne, and she said, hey, Melinda, are you up for an adventure? And for Anne, it was all about the adventure. When she was in the Galapagos Islands, she came across a post box. And this post box apparently is centuries old. I did research on this, and apparently it was put in place by sailors on the island. And it was in hopes that they could write a letter to their loved ones that would then be hand-delivered from somebody visiting. Anne went through the post box and found a postcard addressed to someone in Bern. The only rule of the post box was you had to hand deliver this postcard to the address on the postcard. So she called me and said, Melinda, I have a postcard for Bern. Do you want to go on an adventure? And it was always so easy to be all in with Anne because she loved an adventure. So I said, yeah. We got on the train. We looked up Google Maps. We're walking through the streets of Bern, and we came to the door. And I thought, are we going to do this? Like, we don't know this person. But we went up to the door, we knocked on the door, and lucky for us, the woman was home. She invited us in. She happened to be making a cake, I am not joking, at the time of our arrival. She invited us into her table. We sat, we had coffee, we ate cake, and she told us about how the postcard came to be. Her niece had been on the island, and the afternoon transpired with a stranger, and that was life with Anne. Anne moved back to Portland, Oregon in 2013, I believe. I'm not good with dates, but I verified with my good friend Jess. She went back in 2013 to Portland, Oregon. But Anne kept coming back to Basel because she had such a deep connection to the city and she had such a large community. It was now 2018, and we had a plan to hike up to her favorite hut. This is, I don't know if anyone recognizes this picture. No? Okay. It's a beautiful space. I'm not going to disclose the location, but I will if you ask me privately. So we had plans to spend a weekend here. And the location is remarkably remote. It's accessible by foot or by helicopter. So you have to put in some work if you want to go here. But I will say it's not like you don't need anything special to get there. You just need stamina and the desire to go. And the elevation gain is steady and you keep going up. The day was hot, we were sweating, we had stopped talking because we were working on breathing, and we got to a bench and Anne stopped suddenly. And Anne gave me a look, and I'm sure you can all relate to this. It was one of the looks that people give you when they want to make sure you hear exactly what they're about to say. And Anne said the following, I always get a little sad when I come here. I knew this was Anne's one of her favorite places in the entire world, so her words came as a surprise. I asked her why. Anne said, what if this is the last time I get to come here? Anne was robust. She was in great health. I had no idea what she was saying, but she had put great thought into this. She said to me, Melinda, if something should happen to me, I need you to promise you'll bring my ashes here. I don't think I paused, and my words were automatic. I looked at Anne and I said, I promise you, should anything happen to you, I will bring your ashes here. I think we might have shed a tear or two. We hugged, but we continued on that weekend. But we knew our words were consecrated. We had the best weekend. Because Anne was a people collector, this is Hans, whom she knew very well, and his wife, Vicky, and she knew all the innkeepers. And that weekend, we were invited in a way that I've never been invited in before. Hans asked us if we wanted to come in and watch him make cheese. We came into this small wooden hut where he was churning milk in an old copper pot. And then Vicky, his wife, said, I'm going to bring the cows in for their nightly milking. Would you like to be part of this? Of course we said yes. We came in, we were in the barn. Vicky sat on one of those old wooden Swiss stools with the leg. I mean, this was so beautiful. And then she said, in the morning, all of the provisions for the hut will come in via helicopter. It comes, I don't know what time it was. Would you like to be a part of it? We did. But we sat far too close to the helicopter, dropping off all the goods. And that's how the weekend was. It was absolutely incredible. It was a weekend in the Alps you just don't forget. And so we returned to our normal lives. Anne went back to Portland, Oregon. I went back to being a mom and working and everything else. And in the autumn, just a few short months after we had been in the Alps, Anne went to have her hearing checked. And it turns out it wasn't her hearing at all. Anne received a diagnosis that shook her to the core and altered her journey forever. Anne endured a lot over the course of a year. And when she was well enough, we would talk by phone. One night when we were speaking on the phone, she said to me, she always wanted to be an outlier, but she was also a realist in such a beautiful way. But on this phone call, she said to me, Melinda, I'm going to tell you the exact locations in the Alps that I need to be. She was emphatic with the description, and she wanted to make sure I got it right. So in my mind, I made note of this, but I still thought we had a lot more time with her. Her disease progressed, and then I received a phone call in January of 2021 that Anne had passed among very dear friends and in the comfort of her home. When I had initially made that promise to Anne, I always intended on going to the Alps alone. But it turns out I didn't have. 10 of Anne's closest friends from the States came to Switzerland to honor her. 8 of us made the trek up to the sacred place in the Alps where we honored Anne in such a profound way, in the way that she had requested. The one location that Anne wanted to be was in this, and Jess was with me on this excursion, so it's really nice to have her here today. And I won't look at her too much because we're keeping this light. But to paint the picture for you, you hike up. It feels like everywhere you go in this area is up. There's an alpine lake over here, and then you hike back to a moraine. And this moraine held years of glacial ice and retreated. And it has now formed a very narrow ridge line, which is really best to be walked single file because it's not very broad. And when we got up there, we all commemorated Anne's life in our own way because we knew her in different capacities. But to add light to the very heavy moment, when we came back that night, we thought, was she testing us? Had she ever been there herself? Because you had to really work to get there, but you also had to walk single file along this moraine. And that's until I found this picture. And Anne had indeed been on the moraine, and this was one of her most favorite spots to be. Her second location was in an alpine meadow where in the summer the cows graze and wild flowers grow, and it's an absolutely beautiful location. And that weekend was absolutely transformative for me in such a profound way. One, the ease of it all. I didn't know the group of women who came from the US, but I have to say the bond that we forged and created over those 3 days was unlike any I've ever experienced. I also think nature has a way of bonding people in a way that no other place does. And I've seen this as years have gone by in different groups that I've gone into the Alps with. The other one was that this place was so worthy of carrying her through space and time. And of all the places that Anne had traveled, it really hit me. There were just two she wanted to spend her forever with. And that was along the coast in Oregon and this place in the Alps. And the final realization that I had this weekend was that all along I had carried with me that I was honoring Anne and giving her her final wish. But ultimately, I was the one who walked away with so much that weekend. It was such an honor and such a privilege to be able to celebrate someone's life in such an incredible way. And so as I close today, I'll read you something I wrote. But this rock, I have no idea the origins of. I don't know if, do you know, Jess? Oh, okay. This was when we celebrated Anne's life at the Moraine. It was there. And I don't know if Anne painted it. I don't know if someone else painted it. I don't know if somebody found it. But I think it summarizes in 2 words what we should be doing. And it's fully living our lives. So I'll read to you my final thoughts. And perhaps the whole point of travel, or as the second definition states, to be an individual who roams about, is to witness new places with fresh eyes. It's to shatter all that we once thought to be true. It's to meet strangers who become dear friends and teach us the most valuable lessons of this life. It's to remind us of our common humanity and to realize the absolute impermanence of it all. It's to feel utterly transfixed by a place that etches itself so deeply in our being that when we close our eyes, that location and all it represents is all we can see. Which brings me to this. There is beauty in all of it, in the fleeting moments, in the wind in our hair, in the joyful tears that stain our sunburned skin, in the fear of the unknown, in the comfort of those familiar places. It's the memories of the hands we held on tops of remote mountains. To be nomadic is to roam and to discover until one day we are called to spend all of eternity in a single, or in Anne's case, 2 remarkable places. And so I thank you all for waking up with me and coming early. I thank you for your time. And thank you for allowing me to share my interpretation of what it means to be nomadic. I will apologize if you came here and wanted to hear more about children hiking, but I also realize that doesn't resonate with everyone. And I think being human does. And finally, the last thing I'll say to you is this. And the next time you're given the opportunity to roam, I would encourage you to say yes, because you never know how life-altering that yes may be. So thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. Do we have any questions?
I'm not offended if you ask about the books, dear. Yes.
Melinda, thank you very much. Very moving.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
I live in California. And you are a very good storyteller, but from your inner.
Yeah, thank you.
And I can just feel more or less everything. I cannot really feel it because it's your life and it's mine what I have. And if you give that to your children to experience this all the way that I can say for this and for Anne and for the group, I think that is very well done. It's eternal.
Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I'm still just looking at her like, whoa. Okay, yeah, okay. focusing.
I would like to know how old your kids are and if they are still hiking with you and how old they were when you started and the distance and age and how they did this.
Yeah. So when Robert and I moved to Switzerland, we didn't have children, and then I was pregnant. And we truly fell in love with Switzerland and the topography. And I hiked with my kids since they were pregnant. I kept hiking throughout both of my pregnancies. And then we thought, how are we going to do this when our children arrive? And we thought we love it too much to abandon. So we would just strap them on and we would go. And it was actually easier when our children were smaller because our son really is an independent individual who, that's putting it mildly. And as he got older, we would be more concerned about his safety in the Alps. But when they were strapped to us, there was a real sense of security that as long as we stayed on trail and we were safe, that they were safe. What has amazed me from really hiking with them from infancy to now, which they're both teenagers, they're 16 and 14, is on so many occasions, our children have surprised us with the amount of kilometers they can cover, the amount of elevation they can gain. We underestimate them greatly. And as our kids are older now, we have this thing in our house, which my daughter hates. I call it Tough Academy, where I'm like, we just got to toughen up. We just got to do it. And I think that hiking and all the adventures we've gone on has been a beautiful metaphor for life. About if you want something, you have to go for it and you have to achieve it. That leads me to, are they still hiking with us? I'm being totally candid. I just wrote an article about this. I thought for sure that they would always hike with us, and that's just something that would be embedded in who they are. And I do think it is, but now they're doing that more with their friends. And they're doing it through different avenues, mountain biking, river swimming, different types of adventures. They still do come with us, but we do hear a bit of complaining. Yeah. And I think this is a natural evolution. At first, I found it really heartbreaking, but I think it's part of them becoming sovereign individuals. And my deep hope is they come back to it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hi, what is your criteria for hikes that make the cut for the book and don't?
That's a good question. Yeah. I'm looking at Robert because he really is, he should get all of this credit really, because he does all of the planning and he painstakingly goes through and searches places. And there were hikes that didn't make the cut, either because we felt that they were unsafe, or we had one hike I can think of that we just were along a road almost the whole time. And I thought, this is lame, right? It's not that great. But also, having that said, because we cover a lot of the different cantons and regions in Switzerland, we obviously have those routes that connect deeply with us, or we like the terrain more than other areas, but it's not to say that's for everyone. So, and it's also, we had a hut in the place where the people were really not nice to us. And we're like, you're not in. And we didn't tell them that, but I thought, I don't want to do this to people we're recommending to go there. Yeah. We want you to be nice people and welcoming. And so that also had a part of it. Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, right? You want them to be nice.
Flexible.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any other questions?
What will be your next book?
That's nice. So we have wrapped up the series. And if I didn't mention, our publisher is the local publisher, Helvetic. This series we feel like is exhausted. We're good with it. It's not to say that we don't always think about other writing projects. I go to a weekly writing group with Shut Up and Write Basel. And I always have ideas in my mind, whether they end up into a book or our next adventure, I'm not sure. But this has been, I think, for me, a lifelong dream to publish books, but also to just be part of the process, and truly just such a beautiful way to raise our children.